This is Dragon Crystal, a early 90s roguelike by Sega for the Game Gear. It's kind of interesting, there weren't really that many roguelikes for consoles back then, and I can't say it's my favorite roguelike. That honor goes to sort of Fargle for, iOS, Android, and Commodore 64. And yeah, by now you might have guessed I'm not an expert at all in roguelikes, so this is going to be a casual review. And now that I've got that disclaimer out, sit back, relax, and here we go. Here's Dragon Crystal. Okay, so when you start the game, you're this little dude walking around defeating enemies like so, and exploring the level, which is generated at random, and that's a staple of this genre. So the whole idea is that you don't know what's ahead. Every time you play the game, it's different, so you can't really beat it by memorizing enemy locations and things like that. You really have to use your wits. And in fact, if you've played Toe Jam and Earl, you've already played a game kind of like this, except that one didn't have combat. And most roguelikes do indeed have combat, which is usually performed by bumping into an enemy until it dies or you want to flee, and you just flee by walking the other direction. You might have also noticed that I picked up an item called Purple Rod. What does this rod do? It's a magic staff, but who knows what it does when you use it, right? Though in this game, once you've used it, instead of saying Purple Rod, next time it'll say what it does. And again, this is a staple of the genre. Toe Jam and Earl did something similar with the presents that you collect. And these magic items you get in Dragon Crystal can be good or they can be bad. It just depends. And that's why it's a really good idea in this game to use the items early. The worst thing ever is figuring out that it's a rod that stuns you in the middle of a battle. You don't want that. Especially in the lower levels. The lower levels are the time to experiment because the game doesn't get any easier. It just gets harder and harder. Yeah, the combat in these games tends to be pretty simple and vague. You're not doing dodges. You can use spells and stuff from your inventory as usual, but you don't have any kind of tactical strategy. It's really a matter of whether you want to continue fighting or move away. You might notice a huge slice of bread to the left of me, and I just got it. I found some food. Now that doesn't give you health, it actually gives you food points, because you can actually starve to death in this game too, so you gotta keep your warrior well fed. And there's the exit that goes down to the next level. You have to weigh whether you want to ascend to the next level or hang around the current easier level collecting items, and it's often a mistake to progress as fast as I'm going here. Though since time costs food, you have to kind of keep that in mind as well. You might notice there's no stairwell going back up, and that's one of the bummers in this game, is that if you go to a level and decide it's too hard, you can't retreat and then build more experience at the previous level. So you have to, be really careful before you decide to descend further. Now you might be wondering what that egg is that's trailing behind me the whole game. Well, that's a dragon egg. And if you get far enough, it hatches and you have a baby dragon that will help you fight monsters and stuff. It's pretty cool, kind of a neat gimmick. Not totally enough to give Dragon Crystal its own identity compared to other roguelikes or anything. This game, I like it a lot, but it's your pretty basic roguelike game. It's not something radically different, but it is charming, approachable, and fairly well balanced. It's not a game that's like, go north, you die. It's a game that gives you a chance to get out of tricky situations. During this game I lost a lot of health early on, and I was able to, by playing carefully, kind of get my health back up. And that's a big deal, especially in a game that has permadeath. Oh yeah, if you die in this, That's it, your character is dead. You can't just save the game and restore. I guess I didn't mention that. It does add a lot of tension to every encounter. The exception to this rule is if you collect enough gold that the game allows you to continue it. And every time you continue, the price of that continue goes up. So, eventually it's going to be game over. That does make it somewhat more forgiving than other games in this mold. I really dig some of the themes of the levels in this game. For example, these sunflowers which bloom as you explore the level. The ones that aren't bloomed represent parts of the level that you haven't yet explored. Stylistically, one thing I don't like is that the music barely ever changes. I think the music changes something like once every 10 levels? Something like that. It's not nearly enough. What they really should have done is associate different songs with different motifs. But overall, that's a pretty minor gripe. Now you're going to see my game come to an abrupt end because I'm not really powered up enough to face these two guys. I really should have spent more time on the previous levels getting items and leveling up, but I was kind of in a hurry, so this is what I get. Killed by Ninja. Do you really expect a dungeon full of ninjas? I guess I should have.